Now for the gram-negative organisms, we move on to the coxobacilli. The coxobacillus is an organism whose shape is between a coccus and a bacillus, right? So since it's in the middle, the shape of a coxobacilli is in the middle of a coccus and a bacillus, so we call it coxobacilli. A coccus is basically round and a bacillus is basically a long rod. The coxobacillus is a short, fat rod. When biologists see a tiny gram-negative rod that almost looks round, they think this is Hemophilus or Bordetella or Pastorella or Francisella or Acinetobacter, right? Now, just master this in your memory. Think HBPFPA, right? That's just a small way of remembering these coxobacilli. I'll just put the mnemonic here. So you can think of this as HBPFPA, right? Hemophilus, Bordetella, Brucella, Francisella, Pastorella, and Satinobacter, right? Okay, so Hemophilus influenza, let's do this one by one. If we talk about our coxobacilli, the first one we will try to understand, is the Hemophilus influenza. This is basically a gram-negative organism. It's a coxobacillus. It's encapsulated, so it's a type B coxobacillus, right? So it's encapsulated and it's oxidase positive and it's AGA protease positive, right? Now, this is basically just a heads up of your Hemophilus influenza, right? It's encapsulated, it's gram-negative, it's a coxobacillus, it's oxidase positive, and it's AGA protease positive, IgA protease positive. A important fact is it does not cause influenza. Many students get fooled since its name is influenza. It does not cause influenza. Haemophilus influenza is not the influenza virus. Remember that. The name existed before the flu virus was even discovered. Now, virulence factors. It contains this uh, PRP, it's a polyribosyl ribitol phosphate. This capsule prevents phagocytosis, right? So it contains this PRP, which is polyribosyl ribitol phosphate. This capsule basically prevents phagocytosis. And then we have the IgA protease, right? We have this IgA protease here. Now, this IgA protease is the same thing where I told you that the mucosa was protected by IgA. Once the IgA protease cuts this IgA, secretory IgA, which is normally protecting the mucosa, the bacteria attaches, right? Some important things now, I told you it's non-typable. Mm, the unencapsulated strains are the most common cause of mucosal infections like otitis media, conjunctivitis, bronchitis. Obviously, they're unencapsulated, so you can't really make a vaccine for them. As well as invasive infections since the vaccine for capsular type B was introduced. Culture on chocolate agar, which contains these factors. Now, it this is something special about Haemophilus influenza. Haemophilus influenza basically needs these special factors. The factor 5, NAD positive, and factor 10, hematine for growth, right? So this 10 factor is basically hematine. This is needed for cytochromes, and the 5 factor is basically needed for metabolism, right? So you usually grow this on chocolate agar. This is basically heated blood. The blood, when it's heated, the RBCs are ruptured and factor 10 is released, factor 5 is released, so Haemophilus influenza can grow. Another important exam question that is most commonly asked is Staph aureus also causes hemolysis, right? And releases the factor 5. So Haemophilus influenza usually grows near the Staph aureus, right? Because this Staph aureus also basically causes hemolysis. Since Staph aureus causes hemolysis, it causes RBC hemolysis, it releases this factor 5, which the Haemophilus influenza needs. So it usually grows with Staph aureus, right? Hemophilus influenza, this by the way is called satellitism, right? This is a phenomena of the Hemophilus influenza growing near the staph and the staph aureus, and we call this phenomena Satellitism. Okay, satellitism. Okay. For next up, we see the diseases, right? I was trying to make this into 12 pictures. Now, Hemophilus influenza causes remember, it causes epiglottitis, endoscopic variance in A. This is epiglottitis, right? It can be cherry red in children and a thumb sign. Can you see this thumb sign of epiglottitis? The thumb sign on lateral neck X-ray is very common in Haemophilus influenza. It causes meningitis, otitis media, and pneumonia. Right? So these are all the diseases of Haemophilus influenza. You have epiglottitis. It may cause this cherry red in children, cherry red epiglottitis in children. You can see it endoscopically. And then a thumb sign on lateral net X-ray. It can also cause meningitis, otitis media, and pneumonia. Right? Now, something, this is the epiglottitis, by the way, this is the most classic disease of this organism. The child presents with 3Ds, and the 3Ds are basically drooling, dysphagia, distress. So this is like a classic vignette where you will have the patient epiglottitis. It's like it's just showing the drooling, dysphagia, and distress. Why cherry red? Because the inflammation. Why does this cherry red? Because the inflammation causes vasodilation, swelling, hyperemia, making it bright red. Then we have this thumb sign here. This shows this normal epiglottitis. Um, and there's a thumb sign on X-ray here. The treatment is basically meningitis. You give ceftriaxone. Prevention is the HIV vaccine. Um, in order to understand the vaccine, it's important to understand that there are two major forms of the capsule and the vaccine. Right? Hemophilus influenza has there's an encapsulated type and there's an unencapsulated type. The encapsulated type is typable, but the unencapsulated type is non-typable. Right? So you have these two types of Hemophilus influenza. Right? There are several capsule types, but type B, the HIB, is the dangerous one, right? There's a type B. Historically, it caused meningitis, epiglottitis, sepsis in young children. Now, this is the type B one. The type B, this is the most dangerous one, right? Historically, it caused meningitis, hepatitis, sepsis in young children. So, vaccine contains type B capsule polysaccharide. This is polyribosyl ribitol phosphate conjugated to diphtheria toxoid or other protein. It's given between 2 and 18 months of age. It does not cause the flu influenza virus does. Just remember that. What is the capsule made of? The capsule contains polyribosyl ribitol phosphate. This capsule is the major virulence factor. Um, this capsule is the major virulence factor. Why is the capsule dangerous? Normally, the neutrophils eat bacteria. The capsule prevents phagocytosis. Therefore, if there is no capsule, immune evasion is very easy. Bloodstream spread is very easy. So meningitis, epiglottitis, and sepsis happens. How does the vaccine work? The vaccine contains purified PIP capsule, but not the whole bacterium. Think of the capsule piece. The immune system learns it, it makes antibodies, and for future protection, it's helpful. Yeah. Um, why is it conjugated? This is extremely important. PRP alone is a polysaccharide. Babies don't make a strong immune response to pure polysaccharides. So scientists attach the PRP to a protein. Usually a diphtheria toxoid is used or another carrier protein. This creates a conjugate vaccine, right? So the polysaccharide itself is the babies don't make a strong immune response to this polysaccharide. So basically, the scientists what they do is they attach this to a protein or another carrier protein, which creates a conjugate vaccine, and it's given between 2 and 18 months of age. So why is conjugation better? Without conjugation, there's weak beta cell response, there's poor memory. With conjugation, the T helper cells are activated. You get strong antibodies, memory cells, and long-term protection. Um, the HIV vaccine is encapsulated type B only. And it's not for all H influenza, it's only for the type B HIV influenza. Um, the vaccine has dramatically reduced childhood meningitis and epiglottitis, which is caused by HIV. Now, most infections are caused by non-typable strains, which have no capsules, and therefore they're not covered by the vaccine. These strains mainly cause otitis media. Yeah, the treatment obviously depends on the disease, but generally we give this amoxicillin and we add or don't add the clovelinate for mucosal infections. Why we add the clovelinate is basically many H influenza strains make the beta lactamase. The beta lactamase destroys the amoxicillin. So clovelinate blocks the beta lactamase enzymes and protects the amoxicillin, which helps in killing the actual bacteria. If H influenza basically reaches the CNS, the blood or meninges, we need a special drug that crosses the blood-brain barrier, and for that we give the ceftriaxone or cefotaxime because these cross the blood-brain barrier in meningitis. Epiglottis is one of the classic emergencies. Symptoms basically include high fever, drooling, stridor, difficulty swallowing. Child sits in a leaning forward position. It's called the tripod position. If you do the lateral X-ray I showed you, you will get the thumb sign. And that's it. Treatment first, you secure the airway and then give IV ceftriaxone. Never agitate the child unnecessarily because airway obstruction can worsen suddenly. And suppose a child develops HIV, Hemophilus influenza type B, meningitis, then everyone living in the same house may have been exposed to eliminate carriage. You give rifampin to even the close contacts. I'll stop here, okay, and I'll continue with Acinetobacter baumannii and Bordetella in the next video.